This is the far left.
You are just a trans person. Sorry, you don't know what you're talking about.
Everything I said about Biden is true, you fucking idiots!
What's your take on the filibuster? Yo, why don't you filibusting some bitches, dude?
And this is the far right.
You made me have sandwich. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. Get the off the phone.
Oh, happy day! I had sex with MLK.
Kneel on my neck. Here, shoulder.
Oh, pause the timer.
Oh my goodness.
Num num bacon grease. Yes. Okay. Hold on your pussy.
You gotta be fucking kidding me.
It's pretty sad that these two were on top in terms of online political commentary. Representing the far left, we have Hassan Piker, aka Hasanabi, socialist,
Nice person.
and Jeff Bezos' #1 employee. And representing the far right, we've got Canada's biggest mistake, Steven Crowder, YouTube OG and musical genius. Now, I personally find these two to be garbage, but they are the perfect representatives of what's wrong with online politics today. So we will be making fun of them, calling them out for spreading lies, creating propaganda, and most importantly, being cringe. So let's get started. I think the biggest crime that these two clowns commit is the constant spread of misinformation. Unfortunately for all of us, millions of people look to you and solely you for their political information. So the least you could do is try your best to get things right most of the time. They don't do that. Here's a clip of my best friend Steven Crowder saying some things about class mobility that couldn't be further from the truth. Enjoy.
And what's interesting is when you look at the classism, first off, we have more class mobility here in the United States than anywhere else. Certainly than Canada.
Can you define class mobility for me?
Meaning there are more people in the United States who end up in the top 30% of income than anywhere else in the world. At some point in their life, we're in the top 10%.
#1, this cute little graph that you guys linked at the bottom has nothing to do with the question. If you look at it, you can see there aren't even other countries on the graph. Nice try though. And second, I don't know where you got this first shit from, because according to this article from Visual Capitalist, we are 21st. And according to the World Economic Forum, we are 27th. Steven, I understand you want to be overly proud and patriotic of this country because you are compensating for the fact that you were raised in Canada. I empathize. But all I'm asking is that we base that pride in reality. Or the time that Steven was on his very long voter fraud campaign where he saw a video of someone wheeling a wagon into a voting center with no security and immediately came to the conclusion that the wagon was filled with all these fake ballots.
So right here, for people who are watching, again, we're just getting this. These are people bringing them in coolers. Wow. I mean, you wouldn't be able to trust that just because some ballots could fly off the back. That's a guy in a WrestleMania t-shirt with a KB Toys wagon. We see people walking in with coolers. What I guess is your concern? They could be walking in with what? With fake ballots? They could just,
fake ballots, absolutely.
See, Steven does this very weaselly move where he gets the person he's interviewing to say what he actually wants to say so that he has plausible deniability. Very weak and very Canadian of you, Steven. I'm just saying. Oh yeah, and the entire time the wagon was just filled with batteries, so there is that too.
This lady could have simply cracked her window open, and as a 7 Action News representative, I would have gladly told her that it was a box full of batteries, and I was taking my wagon down so the photographer I was relieving could have a wagon because he forgot his.
There weren't papers flying out the back. There was no real reason for Steven to believe that there was fake ballots in the wagon. He just saw a guy bringing a wagon into a voting center and freaked out. See, my issue with Steven isn't that he's a dumbass. My issue is that he's starting with a narrative and desperately looking for things to support that narrative. This is something that people on the far right and on the far left do all the time, which is why it was so important for me to have Ground News be the sponsor of today's video. Ground News is a website and app that helps you combat political biases, big words. It gathers different types of articles from around the world and brings them all into one place so that you can compare the coverage yourself. Every big story or topic comes with its own bias bar so that you're able to see which sides of the political aisle are covering what, because you know a lot of the time they're gonna be on some
Bad stuff.
For example, here's a recent article I found about a conservative group conceding that they had zero evidence to back their claims of Georgia ballot stuffing. Steven, did you see this one? Did you read this one? As you can see, there's over 20 sources for this topic alone. 45% of the articles were covered by the left, 35 by the center, and only 20 for the right. A biased political media group that doesn't want to write an article about how they were wrong? I mean, who could have seen this coming? But on a more serious note, this is the exact type of stuff that leads to radicalization. You're constantly getting a narrative from one side of the political aisle, not knowing that there's dozens of articles debunking everything this side is saying. Definitely a recipe for success. And because ground news is so amazing that when you click on a topic to learn more, you can actually see all of the articles that were written on that issue, and can even compare headlines to show you how the left and right can have the exact same information, but will choose to present things in two totally different ways, giving you two totally different stories. But my personal favorite section of ground news is definitely their blind spot feed, which highlights stories that are disproportionately covered by one side of the political spectrum. That was a lot of big words, but we got through it together. This gives you the opportunity to see the kind of information the other side is actually getting. Yes, this is the stuff that is contributing to your uncle's mental illness, but now you're able to know where he's getting this information from and can properly handle his insane takes at the dinner table. A gift from me to you. So go to ground.news/Kamal or click the first link in the description to check out Ground News today. If you use my link, not only are you supporting the channel, but you can get 40% off of their Vantage subscription. That is their top tier plan. It's the same one that I use, and it only comes out to like $5 a month. So I definitely think this is something that's worth it for you guys. I didn't only want to just make a video about internet radicalization and make jokes, but I really wanted to come to you guys with a solution, and I know that ground news is a great solution to this internet radicalization problem we're all kind of going through. So I want to thank Ground News again for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to American Dragon, Jake Long. I hate to be an asshole and bring it up again, but we can't forget about how Hassan reported on that hospital bombing in Gaza. Nobody actually knew what was going on. There was a lot of conflicting reports, and both sides of the conflict were pointing fingers at each other. So I would think the responsible thing to do would be to wait before reporting until more information comes out. Unfortunately, Hassan did not do that. Shocking, I know. Instead, he goes on a stream titled, "Israel bombed Gaza hospital, 800 plus people killed." That didn't happen. Hassanabi reacts and spread a bunch of misinformation to hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people, because he saw a tweet with 13 likes that reinforced his worldview.
After Israel violently kills more than 877 Palestinians in the Al Ahli Arab Hospital in the center of Gaza City.
Sure, Hassan didn't get his information from the best source, but was he wrong? Yes, of course. Number one, he was way off with the 800 people. That didn't happen. And number two, the bomb hit the hospital parking lot. I mean, if you think about it for 5 seconds, what would 800 people be doing at a hospital parking lot? Does that make any sense at all? And number three, according to articles from the New York Times, the AP, and an investigation from the Human Rights Watch, the bomb was more than likely a misfiring from a Palestinian rocket. But even to this day, Hassan still wants to double down and say that it's Israel. But now he kind of has to. You saw how unhinged he got when he was talking about it earlier.
Terrible that the people died, but I encourage you to look into where Hamas was firing. You fucking piece of shit! You garbage, monstrous scumbag! You garbage, monstrous scumbag! You said IDF didn't bomb the hospital, and then you said it did, but Hamas was firing rockets from it!
Gay. You really think this guy has the humility to apologize for getting the facts wrong now? Hell no. And just to be clear, I'm not trying to make light of anything that's going on in Palestine right now. A lot of people are losing their lives, and obviously that's horrible. But now we're at a point where people aren't reporting on what's actually going on. They're just cherry picking tweets to make themselves look good. Or when Hassan and Willie Mack went back and forth about the 13-year-old Palestinian kid who was kidnapped by the IDF. But then you find out, thanks to Willie Mack, that the kid was running around, knife in hand, with his cousin who had just stabbed 2 people.
Now Hassan just made it seem like Israel kidnapped this kid for no reason. They're monsters. But if you just take 2 seconds and Google his name, you'll see that he was running around holding knives with his 15-year-old cousin. His cousin stabbed a 13-year-old Israeli boy and another 21-year-old before getting shot by a dude he also tried to stab.
And that he wasn't just randomly kidnapped, but he was being interrogated for attempted murder.
That is not the same as this kid getting kidnapped by the IDF. He was arrested and convicted for attempted murder. He's on video doing it.
But hey, so what? Hassan left out a few little details. Willie, why are you being such a nerd about all this? That's my question. Who doesn't stab from time to time? What, this kid can't have fun? Willie, it's the weekend. He can't get a little stabbing in? What is your problem? And I don't know, Willie, but all this concern for the facts sounds a little bigoted to me.
I don't know what this dude's like personal politics are, but I don't think he's like anti-Palestinian. I don't know what the fuck's going on there.
Very cool, very swag, very handsome.
I like it.
Another sad truth about these clowns is that because they've created such deep echo chambers, they're pretty much guaranteed to say and do a bunch of unhinged bullshit. One, because most of their audience is deranged, and two, because they're allowed to brush off anyone who comes and criticizes them as whatever buzzwords their side uses. If you're on the right, it's not that your jokes are unfunny or racist or cringe or any of those things, it's that everyone else is a soy-drinking libtard. Do they still say libtard? God, I hope not. Or if you're on the left, what you're saying isn't stupid or just objectively wrong, it's that everyone else is a transphobic fascist.
You are no different than a Christian fascist neocon with this way of thinking.
And these people keep doing shit that's worse and worse until they finally do something they can't come back from. A perfect example of this was Hassan's interview with Timothée Chalamet. I actually hate internet culture, like for real. Now little Timmy here is either a member of the Houthis or at the very least doing like TikTok propaganda for them. If you don't know who the Houthis are, first off, can we trade places? But the Houthis are an Islamic militant group that's been drone striking and hijacking civilian cargo ships since November. So I mean, obviously just a bunch of chill dudes. Hang 10, bitch. Well, let's watch some clips from Hassan's interview with Tim Houthi here to see how he embarrassed himself.
Okay, this is a stupid question. Okay, you can preface it with that. Does he know what One Piece is?
أكيد يعني منذ الطفولة وأنا أشاهد ون بيس لوفي.
Lofi?
Yeah, he said he's been watching it since he was a kid.
No way!
Yeah.
That's sick. Yes, that's fire. That's so fire.
Bro, when you guys were shooting rockets at those civilian ships, bro, that shit was fire, bro. What?
We think the Houthis, Ansar Allah, is doing what Luffy would do. You should tell him that.
Bro, when you guys hijacked that Japanese cargo ship, bro, that shit was just like One Piece, bro. Episode 362? Ugh, that shit was hard. I'm hard for you.
He's saying that, again, like the only motivation that they have is to their solidarity with Palestine and to stop the attack on Palestine, and it's not for any kind of...
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm saying it's a good thing. I understand. So that's what he's saying, that the reasons as to why there have been any sort of interceptions on vessels is due to the ongoing genocide in Gaza. Tell him it's not for loot. I know it's not for loot.
Yes, please. That group that's attacked over 30 civilian ships, I'm just gonna take everything they tell me at face value, because there's no way they would ever lie to me. Sure, you know, they'll shoot a rocket here, a little drone strike there, but that's just a little interception. Who doesn't love a great interception? Well, you don't like football? What are you, a fascist? Also, this boy's got some cute ass eyes. What am I to do? Ask him real questions? Do I look like an Islamophobe to you?
What does he think about the fact that American media in general keeps claiming that the reasons as to why the Yemeni militias are intercepting vessels is for completely oblivious reasons, like belligerent reasons, and not for Palestine? They don't talk about that at all.
This is literal propaganda. Hey, guy who's probably part of a designated global terrorist group, isn't it messed up that these Western demons are saying what you're doing is unlit and that your cause is unjust? Isn't that fucked up? Doesn't that just give you the ick? I'm 32, but I dress like I'm 15 years old.
Okay, so what does he think about Americans? Because there's a lot of people in America that also are showing solidarity to the Palestinian people. How does he feel about that?
Yeah, he says he knows that a lot of the people that are supporting him online are foreigners, and he reciprocates and sends back the love to them.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, we love you too, man. Big time.
Wait, but what's your guys' slogan again? God is the greatest, death to America, death to Israel, curse upon the Jews, victory to Islam. Bro, did you guys freestyle that? Jeez. I'm like Drake. Jeez, bro, that shit is fire, dude. I hate you. But Kamal, this kid isn't part of the Houthis. Hassan said so. Well, damn, Hassan.
Scrotum.
Writer, maybe I did get that wrong. Let's replay the clip.
As far as the Ansar Allah militancy goes, like as far as the standing military goes, like I don't know if he is allowed to speak on this. I don't know if he's like actually a part of the groups at all, or just like simply a TikToker. You know what I mean? I don't know how to ask that in the best way possible, though.
Yeah, I feel like we can ask it pretty directly. His answer is a Yemeni who stands with Palestine.
Kind of seems like a weird way to answer that question. Hey, are you a part of this Islamic militant group? I'm just a guy who has the exact same goal as that group you just mentioned. That's like asking me, hey Kamal, were you a part of that group that robbed that bank last Saturday? And me answering, I'm just a guy that loves money and adventure. Not a no, but not a yes either, to be fair. It's a good thing he didn't say anything else in this interview that would be alarming.
What does he think about China? Does he know anything about China?
He's saying he hasn't spent much time with Chinese people, but one of the captain was Chinese, and he did class with them, and he danced some music with them, and he was vibing.
A Chinese captain, huh? I wonder where he got to know him at. No, it couldn't be. That wouldn't make any sense. I've got it. He must have a side job working at a carnival cruise. That's gotta be it. He must be a bartender for a Chinese carnival cruise. That's gotta be it. Hassan, I apologize. Side note, if you're wondering if Hassan asked this guy any tough questions or anything like that, he did not. It was a complete puff piece, and honestly, Hassan just gave off the impression that he wanted the guy to like him.
What does he have to say to dumbasses that consider him to be a terrorist? What does he think about that? Ask me a question. I just banned one of those stupid in the chat just now.
He says, who are they?
Dumbasses.
He's like dismissing them.
Yeah, oh, okay, nice. Okay, respect.
It was pretty pathetic, pretty gross. And Hassan, if you want to take the Houthi side because you actually believe what they're doing is just, you can do that. But realize that when you publicly take the side of a designated global terrorist group, people are going to look at you sideways. People are going to call you a terrorist. Whoa, what? Yeah, dumbass. That's how it works.
Dude, we think the Houthis, Ansar Allah, is doing what Luffy would do. You should tell him that.
God, he's so cringe. He's like such a cringe loser. I would pay we'd raise $1 million to send this dude to go fight in Yemen, and then all of us would volunteer for the Navy. Holy shit, he's such a cringe, LARPing loser. I cannot believe, like, nobody in the history, no fascist ever could have dreamed of such an amazing representation of socialism as the most anti-American, like pro-Islamic terrorist, Turkish immigrant loser that is like cheering on attacks on merchant ships as this multi-millionaire guy living in West Hollywood.
And you don't get to play the race card when people inevitably do that.
Will there be a punishment for these racist remarks? Of course not, because people think that is scathing commentary. They think that is insightful, because a lot of people can lean on pre-existing structural forms of oppression, like Islamophobia.
And speaking of race, Steven Crowder does a lot of weird, out-of-pocket shit too. It didn't have anything to do with race, but it's a transition. Run with it. And in fairness to Hassan, Steven is a lot worse. Is he worse overall? That's up for debate. But when it comes to consistently embarrassing himself, I don't think there's many people on this planet that can beat Steven at that game. Steven has put so much dog shit on the internet, I gotta do a speed run just so you guys can get a glimpse of what I'm talking about. Like Steven's genius trans dog prank where he said his 90-pound dog identified as a 5-pound dog.
Hopper, my 90-pound doggo Argentino, who just so happens to identify as an 8-pound lapdog. Come on, Hop. There you go. Come on, Hop.
Yeah, do you want to sit here or do you want to sit at the booth?
Leave my restaurant or I'm calling the cops now.
Let's go into the women's restroom.
This video has almost 3 million views with like a 98% like to dislike ratio. That is a collective L for Western society, and we just gotta take that on the chin and do better next time. Or absolute bangers like Crazy Pete's a barn.
First trimester, second trimester, partial birth. Thanks to Obama, we're getting them all. And we're passing the savings on to you.
In fairness to Steven, this is one of his earlier ones. I know my earlier videos are garbage, but damn, Steven.
Sanctity of life, all I care about is quality options at affordable prices.
You could have taken these down, you know what I mean? Nobody's forcing you to keep these up. The Obama song.
America, now I can thank Obama. Military funding cut, looks like now I have a show.
This isn't a nightmare, that's real, and he made that on purpose, filmed it, edited, all that. I see things like this and I'm like, everybody deserves the internet, everybody deserves electricity in this country. I disagree with that. Or the time Crowder showed up to an all-gay anti-Trump karaoke night trying to piss everybody off.
Wait till these hoes get a load of B.
Being obnoxious on stage, but ended up just getting a round of applause because nobody actually cared.
You can suck my balls. You all can kiss my ass.
Or the section of Crowder's content I like to call Edgy Crowder, where he likes to do his fun little racial bits.
5.2 billion are being allocated exclusively for colored farmers. Farmers of color, roll the tape.
We begin today's show looking at a major provision in President Biden's $1.9 trillion COVID relief bill that aims to address decades of discrimination against Black, Hispanic, Native American, and Asian American farmers. The U.S. Commission on Civil Rights confirmed as long ago as 1965 the U.S. Department of Agriculture discriminated against Black farmers, but little was done to address the problem.
100 years ago?
1965 was 100 years ago? I mean, it was 59 years ago today, and this clip was 2 years old, so it's like 57. But I mean, who's counting? Certainly not me.
How would you prove this, by the way? Like, how would you prove that you've been discriminated
You don't
against?
have to, you just
Well, I didn't
say.
get that loan. Sir, you had no credit. Well, that should not have stopped me from getting the loan.
You go to court. You go to court like Timothy Pigford did. It took me 7 seconds to find this on Google. Timothy Pigford filed a class action lawsuit in 1999 for this exact thing you're talking about and negotiated a settlement of $1 billion. So, you know, maybe I'm just crazy, but I don't think anyone's just gonna give up $1 billion just because a Black guy asked. But, you know, maybe I've just been living that Negro lifestyle wrong my whole life. I didn't know it was this easy. I thought we had to get a job and, you know, add value to the market, blah, blah, blah. All that
Demonic
shit. But maybe all I had to do was find a white man with enough guilt and ask him for $1 billion. Steven, I swear to you, I will put the chicken, watermelon, and grape drink down just long enough to try that and report back, and I'm gonna let you know how it goes.
Yeah, most happy about the new policy. These people. So, yeah. I'm gonna buy a plow, man.
I'm gonna plant that corn.
Go get a John Deere. Barack Obama, mother. I'm the president of plowing that ass.
You.
I thought the last thing they would want to do was be farmers. Wasn't that a big problem for hundreds of years?
Yeah. Isn't that why Arsenio Hall called himself the urban man's Johnny Carson?
I think so.
Yeah, I don't know. Are people lining up out in the middle of cornfield, Iowa for new dunks?
Don't white people just go to their neighborhoods and build urban farms and ruin their
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Detroit. Turns out the soil content is a high level of meth.
Oof, that was rough. Not really seeing an attempt at a joke there, just kind of felt like blatant racism, but you know, maybe his white man humor is too cerebral for my Negro brain. You know, maybe I just got all that Hennessy and meth up there and it's just clouding my judgment. You know, that's gotta be it. This is highbrow shit. As much as I love Edgy Crowder, unfortunately I have to admit that my favorite content from him was the little skits he would do during his Mug Club ads. You see, when Steven got temporarily banned from YouTube, he created a 20-minute video called Trent Bane versus Jihadi Bond, Part 1, as an advertisement for his Mug Club.
Mug Club can't survive.
which is basically like his Patreon or like his Daily Wire Plus, you know, somewhere where you can enjoy classics like Hollywood is make a woke and inclusive version of It's a Wonderful Life because nothing is sacred. I don't know if it's all this Hennessy and meth I'm on, but I would assume it's a little ironic calling Hollywood directors lazy and uncreative when you have 3 grammatical errors in the title of your article, but nobody's perfect. I'm sure you're trying your best. But back to the Lord's favorite, Steven Crowder, let's take a look at this cinematic masterpiece he was able to put together.
As I create my club to terrorize YouTube, I will feed its users hope, so I can poison their souls.
This right here appears to be your average, everyday smartphone. However, when you see this home button device here, when you depress that, you'll be able to blow yourself up.
That will come in handy for all the women I text before I get the shit out of them.
Do grow up, 666.
Where is the shame? How are you not afraid that someone's going to recognize you from the dog shit you put out? If I was you, I would be immobilized with the shame until I was eventually able to gather enough courage to commit seppuku like a Japanese samurai and finally end it all. Because when I've made Crazy Pete's abortion barn, what is the point of living? You know what I mean? But apparently I'm the only one with that mentality. Unfortunately for all of us. So to wrap this up, my biggest issue with these two and others like them is that they don't look for the truth. They start with a narrative and cherry pick whatever they can to support that narrative. And Hassan is so freaking crazy that he actually has the balls to tell his audience to do the same thing, like it's the right thing to do.
2 principles that you should keep with you, coming from a person who's Turkish, okay? When you look at a situation in the Middle East, you look at what the local government is and who the Western forces are. Never align with the Western forces. Never align with the Western forces.
We are officially in a clown world, and I think we all need to act accordingly. Try listening to both sides of the argument every once in a while. Take in information as unemotionally as you possibly can. And if you find yourself listening to people who are constantly demonizing everyone who slightly disagrees with them, you're probably listening to the wrong people. The only reason these two act like this is because they have huge audiences that allow them to lie, because they like the fact that their beliefs are being reinforced. And I personally would hope that you're more concerned with what's actually going on than your own need to feel validated by a random person on the internet. But you know, it is what it is. If you made it to the end, I really do appreciate you. And if you want to watch me make fun of more awful political commentators, watch this video here. It's I don't know where it is, but it's somewhere. You can find it. I believe in you.